Keeping in mind, brothers who are still performing the salah, brothers are requested to gather closely, inshallah. La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wahda wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da amma ba'd. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commenced the public da'wah, an open invitation to Islam, then as mentioned last week, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Muslims faced certain challenges. When the da'wah was discreet, then because it was not known by everybody, there was no open propagation, there was no amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam didn't face the challenges which he was going to face. As soon as the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came, and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you need to now openly invite towards Islam, then from that moment the challenges started with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Very first thing was his very own uncle stood up and tried to humiliate Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in front of the entire congregation that had gathered there at the foot of the Mount of Safa. And thereafter this continued. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was taunted. People would make a mockery of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And as mentioned last week, that they did a character assassination of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where they decided that we need to do propagation, we need to propaganda and have this common message and theme coming from all of us, that this is who this person is, this is what he states, so make sure you don't approach him, etc. This was one thing which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had to face. Along with this, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was also facing harm, and although Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't undergo much physical persecution, but they did try to harm Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the Muslims, they had to suffer great persecution as well. And not only this, but they also set challenges to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam questioning him, tried to outwit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tried to prove from their own side that he is not a prophet. And these challenges, inshallah, we shall discuss later as well. They tried to negotiate with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as mentioned last week. They tried to tempt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said, look, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, what do you want, don't do this, one day that. Inshallah, we'll mention a few things regarding that as well. And the final thing was that they tried to assassinate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after that the time of the hukm of hijrah also came. Nevertheless, these were certain things which the Muslims suffered, and specifically Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims, they had to undergo this persecution. They had to undergo these trials, these tribulations, these difficulties. But in reality, as Idris Kandalwi rahimahullah ta'ala states, باطنه فيه الرحمة وظاهره من قبله العذاب. That from the outset seems very tough, difficult, where they're undergoing great persecution, but in reality this was also a rahmah and a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are many hikmats and many wisdoms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which we don't understand. And the reality is that we cannot comprehend the nizam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give a nation power, when He wants to give them standing and an authority, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them go through a rigorous training. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts them through difficult times. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through this ibtila, through this examination, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to rise. And this is what the wisdoms are behind making the Muslims suffer this persecution. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't want the Muslims to be persecuted. Na'udhu billah. This is not something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desired. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give them something. And one is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wished that their true capabilities are understood by themselves. When a person goes through a tough time, when a person is faced by a challenge, then he himself is not aware of what he possesses. When he goes head on with that challenge and he faces that challenge head on, then when he comes out the other side, then he realizes, what have I just achieved? I didn't even know I could do this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show the Sahaba that, look, these are the qualities you possess. These are the characteristics which you have. Allah has blessed you. I have granted you these things. Allah knows. But a person himself doesn't know. Allah wants this to come out and manifest itself. How is it going to happen? Allah makes a person go through this. And Allah, He refines a person. And the more you polish something, the more it shines. The more you polish it, the more it shines. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was polishing the Sahaba. And He was making them shine. He said, look at the character you have. Look at the himmah, the courage which you possess. Look at the qualities which you have within you. So this was one of the reasons which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Muslims to go through this procedure. This procedure which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to go through. Along with this, through difficult times, a person gets an opportunity to turn to Allah. He gives him an opportunity to cry to Allah. It makes that person's sins become forgiven. Makes his rank rise in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Sahaba to do. The first ayat was revealed what? Iqra' bismi. The second ayat was revealed what? Ya ayyuhal muddathir kum fa'andir. So first, learn about your deen. Then you need to start calling the people. And the third ayat which was revealed, Ya ayyuhal muzammil qum al-layla illa qalila. Iqra', learn. Then stand up and propagate. And to make these two work properly, qum al-layl illa qalila. Stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Cry to Him, beseech Him. This is your fuel for your da'wah. This is your fuel for your da'wah. This is your fuel to excel and to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted. When a person loses his job, when a person is faced with a court case, when a person is diagnosed, either themselves or somebody in their family, Allah protect us all, with a very terminal illness or something difficult, that is when the person turns to Allah. That is when a person sees, we make dua, we come to the masjid, we make dua, we cry to Allah, it happens. But Allah wants that extra little bit. He wants a person to come even closer to Him. And Allah makes a person go through these difficult circumstances so that he turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is mentioned regarding Qais ibn Amir, who is known as Majnoon. Layla and Majnoon, we all know the story, on which Romeo and Juliet is also based as well. But he was actually a person, Qais ibn Amir, and he was a pious individual. And he fell in love. So he once made dua to Allah. And he says, Ya Allah, after going through many, many difficulties, he couldn't, he tried, whatever, he just couldn't get to marry her. So once he made dua to Allah and in tahajjud, and he's crying in front of Allah, and then whilst crying in front of Allah in tahajjud, he happens to fall asleep, and he's making dua to Allah that, oh Allah, you can give me Layla, or you can take away from my heart the love of Layla. You can do both. You have qudrat over both things. So either give me Layla, and if she's not decreed for me, then take her out of my heart. And he's there crying and he's making dua to Allah, and he happens to fall asleep. Whilst he falls asleep, he hears somebody saying that, "O Qais, if we give you Layla, or if we take away from your heart the love of Layla, will we get this crying in tahajjud? Will we get this crying from you in tahajjud? We won't." So Allah wants us to come close to Him. So Allah puts us through difficult circumstances. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Sahaba to really connect to Him and really come close to Him, and wanted them to turn to Him so that they ask from Allah with that concern, with that fikr. Then this will then bring the ruh and the spirit to the dawah of Islam, and to and bring that impetus within the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is another hikmah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a person go through difficult circumstances. And another thing is that when everybody is seeing that these Muslims are being persecuted, but they are remaining firm, they're not budging, they're not faltering, they're not wavering, they're very, very firm, then when others will look, then this will also be a means of dawah for them. They will look at them and say, look at these people, they're willing to give their lives for this, they're willing to sacrifice their families for this, they're willing to be made to lie down on the hot sands of Arabia for it. What is it? It'll make people inquisitive, it'll raise questions, it'll make them do a bit of research, it'll make them come to the Muslim and ask them that, what is it? Let me think. Actually, maybe, like when Haram ibn Milhan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, if I recall correctly, he was speared through his stomach, and as soon as he was speared through his stomach, blood started to flow out of his body. He took up that blood and he wiped on his face and he says, "Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba, by Allah I have become successful." The person who was there, disbeliever, he saw him and he says, "Ajib, this person has just been killed and he's given his life and he says, I have become successful. How does that work?" And he made him inquire, he made him look into the deen, and then he accepted Islam as well. So this is a form of da'wah as well, and it brings a person close to, brings others close to Islam. And it also, those people who are very strong-minded, those people who are strong individuals, they look at these individuals as well, and they say, look, these guys are firm in their word. If a person becomes, this is something which we've heard a lot recently as well, that when people start to dilute things, when people start to become liberal, and when people start to change things, then there's no substance in their message. When a lot of people that are accepting Islam, the reason they accept Islam is because the Muslims are firm on their belief. Look, this is our belief. It doesn't matter if the entire society says something else. It doesn't matter if we are compelled to try and, accept the norms of society. They say, no, this is what we believe in. This is what we believe in. So people who are strong-minded, people who are strong individuals, they think that, look, these people, they hold fast to something. Once a person starts saying, yeah, it can be like this as well, and we can use different pronouns for God as well, na'udhu billah, and things like this, then it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. How can I accept this? And this is our beliefs, but yeah, maybe now times have changed. No, when a person is firm, when a person is strong, then others think that, look, this is actually something. So maybe let us accept this. So these are certain hikmats and wisdoms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where people are put through difficult circumstances. As somebody said, that tough times make strong men, and strong men make easy times, and then easy times make tough times. Easy times make weak men, and then weak men, then obviously that it goes round again, that weak men make tough times, and then you got to go again. So tough times, when it is tough, then it makes strong men. Strong men make strong societies, and then it's a system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is sunnah. So Muslims were also made to face these difficulties. There are certain individuals who stood out. Certain individuals. There are many who persecuted the Muslims, but there were certain individuals such as Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Utbah, Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, As bin Wa'il. So I'd just like to give a little bit of insight into these individuals. The reality is that the only reason their names are known today are because the books of Seerah recorded them. Otherwise, these individuals would be unknown, and the name of Islam and the Muslims would remain. The only reason their names are recorded because they try to harm the Muslims, etc. So the first one is obviously Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl was a staunch enemy of Islam. His actual name, or his kunya, was Abu al-Hakam. His name was Amr ibn Hisham. And his kunya and the title given to him by the people was Abu al-Hakam. Abu al-Hakam means the one who is very, very wise, and the one who is very commanding. So Rasulullah said, he's not Abu al-Hakam, he's Abu Jahl. He's not wise, he's an ignorant individual. And he had many opportunities to accept Islam, but he didn't accept Islam. And he would say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed regarding him, إِنَّ شَجَرَةَ الزَّقُّومِ طَعَامُ الْأَثِيمِ كَالْمُهْلِ يَغْلِي فِي الْبُطُونِ كَغَلْيِ الْحَمِيمِ. That they did say, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that there's a tree in Jahannam which grows and the people will eat from it. So he says, how can a tree go in fire? This doesn't make sense. What kind of tree is this? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these verses. Inna shajarata zakkum, the shajara and the tree of zakkum, ta'amul athim. It is a food of that individual who is extremely sinful. Kalmuhli yaghli fil butun. It's like the dregs of oil. When you get oil at the bottom of the barrel, really dirty, mucky, thick. Kalmuh yaghli fil butun, and it will boil in an individual's stomach. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, khuduhu, grip him, fa'tiluhu ila sawa'il jahim, and drag him into the depths of Jahannam. ثم صبوا فوق رأسه من عذاب الحميم, and then pour over his head boiling water. Dhuq, taste this. Why? Because Abu Jahl would say that you are calling me Abu Jahl, I am Aziz, I am Kareem. So Allah would say, Dhuq, innaka antal azizul Kareem. You're Aziz and you're Kareem, you're very respectable, very honorable. Taste this punishment now. Who do you think you are? Inna hadha ma kuntum bihi tamtarun. This is what you were doubting. This is the reality now. Another individual, Abu Lahab, we all aware, Abu Lahab stood up at that moment, the very first time. And he was the actual uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Actual uncle from the family of Rasulullah, blood. But he denied Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he tried everything to harm Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for him, obviously, the verses were revealed. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته, his wife as well, وامرأته حمالة الحطب, who gathers sticks, etc. So what may in the fire of Jahannam, according to some of Mufassirin. حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد. When these verses were revealed, then his wife Jamil. So these verses are in reality a sign of the haqqaniyah and the authenticity of the Quran. Because Allah mentions, this is right at the beginning, third, fourth year. Allah mentions in these verses that Abu Lahab and his wife will go into Jahannam, which means they will die as disbelievers. If they wanted to prove Islam wrong, all they had to do was say, we're Muslims. That's all they had to say. Your Quran says that we're going to go into Jahannam, we've accepted Islam. Immediately, that would have brought a big doubt upon the authenticity of the Quran. But the Quran is authentic. It is the word of Allah. And Allah said that they will not accept Islam, and many years they lived after that. But never did they get an opportunity to even say that we have become Muslims. So when this verse was revealed, these verses, then Jamil, the wife of Abu Jahl, she was informed. She became very, very angry. And she took a big rock. And she went out looking for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she got informed that he's in the shade of the Kaaba. She came there, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was there with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when she came, she saw Abu Bakr, but she couldn't see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says, "Oh Abu Bakr, I've heard that your friend Mudhammam," she would call him Mudhammam. Muhammad means the one who is praised, and Mudhammam means the one who is criticized and spoken ill of. So she would always say, Mudhammam asayna wa amrahu abayna wa deenahu qalayna. That Mudhammam, we reject him, and we reject his message as well, and we turn away from his deen as well. So he says that Mudhammam, I've heard that he's brought some verses in regard to us, and he's been vilifying us and speaking ill of us. Where is he? I want to throw this rock on his head so that I can kill him. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu didn't say anything. Rasulullah was right next to him. And she's there speaking to Abu Bakr, and she's just not looking that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there. And after that, Abu Bakr was kind of like, worried as well, anxious as well. So while she was approaching, he even said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that she's coming and she doesn't look happy. I fear for you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't worry. And then he says, "Innaha lan tarani." She won't be able to see me. Don't worry. Thereafter she came. This incident happened. She went away. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Abu Bakr, as long as she was here, there was an angel shielding me from her, and she wasn't able to see me." She wasn't able to see me. Another individual was Umayyah ibn Khalaf. Umayyah ibn Khalaf would taunt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would speak ill of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran the verses of Surah Al-Humazah for him. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. That destruction is for that individual who criticizes, speaks ill, and taunts greatly, meaning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَهُ. He has amassed a lot of wealth. Constantly he's counting his wealth. How much have I got today? How much have I got today? يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَهُ. He's thinking that his wealth will make him live forever and ever. No, it's not going to happen. كَلَّا لَيُنْبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةِ. He'll be thrown into Hutama. Do you even know what Hutama is? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةِ نَارُ اللَّهِ الْمُوقَدَةِ. A burning, blazing, intense fire. التي تطلع على الأفئدة, which will reach to an individual's heart. not just burn the outside of his body, but penetrate right through to his heart. إِنَّهَا عَلَيْهِمْ مُؤْصَدَةٌ فِي عَمَدٍ مُبَنَّدَةٍ. It will be closed upon him like a pillar of fire, and he will be enclosed within that. His brother Ubay ibn Khalaf was the same. He once came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he picked up some bones, and he crushed these bones in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says, "Man yuhyi al-'idham wa hiya ramim?" He says, once we become dust, how are we going to become alive? How are we going to be resurrected once again? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed those verses. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses of Surah Yasin, the last ruku. Allah says, who created you the first time? Who created you the first time? Allah created you the first time. So if Allah created the first time, when you were absolutely nothing, then at least you've got a bit of dust here where you've got something to create you from. Before you were nothing and Allah created you. So why can't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create you again? Another individual was Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt. He was a very close friend of Ubay ibn Khalaf. And he actually once came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he listened to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he took a liking towards the Quran. And when he went back to Ubay ibn Khalaf, then Ubay ibn Khalaf said, "You seem a bit different today, you seem a bit off." He says, "What's wrong?" He says, "Oh, I went to Muhammad, I've heard a little bit about him, and he speaks rational, you know." So he says, "What? How dare you?" And he says, "Look, if you want to befriend him, then our friendship is over." And he says, No, you can't do this, please." And he says, "Look, it's either me or him." She says, "You, obviously." And he says, "I don't believe you." And he says, "No, I'm serious." And he says, "Until you don't go and spit upon the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I won't believe you." So he left his home and he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he spat on the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And upon that, the verses of the Quran were revealed. وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني. They will say on the day when the kuffar and the disbeliever will regret and have remorse, and he will say that, if only I would have taken the path of the Rasul. If only I wouldn't have made that person my friend. I made him my friend. لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني. I was on the right path, but then he led me astray. He took me on the wrong path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these verses for this individual. Then there was Walid ibn Mughira, who we spoke regarding last week, the leader of Quraysh. He would say, "Why has the Quran not been revealed on me? I'm the leader of the Quraysh. And if not me, then it should have been revealed on the leader of Taif. Why not me? Why not Abu Mas'ud al-Thaqafi? Either me or him. I'm the leader of the Quraysh, he's the leader of Taif and Hawazin, so either me or him." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses. وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ عَلَى رَجُلٍ مِّنَ الْقَرْيَتَيْنِ عَظِيمٍ أَهُمْ يَقْسِمُونَ رَحْمَةَ رَبِّكَ. They say that, why wasn't the Quran revealed on one of the two people from the main cities, meaning Walid or Abu Mas'ud? أَهُمْ يَقْسِمُونَ رَحْمَةَ رَبِّكَ. Are they the ones who distribute the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are they the ones who give prophethood? We give prophethood. Prophethood is not based upon stature and influence and a person's position in the society. Rather, prophethood is based upon a person's capability, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept within him. So you don't have these capabilities. So these verses were revealed for this individual. There was another individual by the name of Nadr ibn al-Harith who went out, he would go on his travels. So what he did is he went out and he bought stories, books from Iran, Sham, etc. And he brought some slave girls from there as well. And then he would read these stories. And he said, look at these stories, they're much more enjoyable. Why are you listening about the stories of Ad? Why are you listening about the stories of Samud and Salih and all these? Listen to these stories. These stories are more enjoyable. And then he would bring his slave girls and he says, you sing now and you entertain the people so that they don't need to listen to the Quran. Listen to your singing, it will be more enjoyable. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Now there are certain people who go and buy means of entertainment to distract from the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for these individuals, أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. For them is a very humiliating punishment in the hereafter. There were other individuals as well, but I'd just like to finish on one narration which Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala mentions under the ayah فَاسْتَعْ بِمَا تُعْمَرْ وَعَارِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ إِنَّا كَفَيْنَاكَ الْمُسْتَهْزِئِينَ. These people are taunting you, Ya Rasulullah. You just go out, you proclaim, you propagate, do what you are so told to do. فَاسْتَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ وَعَارِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Turn away from these laws. إِنَّا كَفَيْنَاكَ الْمُسْتَهْزِئِينَ. We will suffice you. You don't need to worry about them. We will deal with them. So there were certain individuals who would constantly taunt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One was Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth, the other was Walid ibn Mughira, the other was Aswad ibn Abd al-Muttalib, As ibn al-Wa'il, and Harith ibn Qais. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was performing tawaf. Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam complained to Jibreel that Jibreel, they're really causing me problems. They're really hurting me. My morale is down. وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we know that you're feeling down. We know that you're not feeling good. Your morale is down. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam complained to Jibreel. All of a sudden Walid walked past. Walid walked past. Jibreel alayhi salam pointed towards his neck. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what does that mean? She says, Allah will deal with him. After that, Aswad ibn Abd al-Muttalib walked by. Jibreel pointed towards his eyes. Rasulullah says, what do you mean? Allah will deal with him. After that, Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth walked past. Jibreel pointed towards his head. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, same thing, don't worry, Allah will deal with him. Thereafter, As ibn Wa'il walked past. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him. Jibreel pointed towards his feet. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told that Allah will deal with him. So all these people walked past, and Jibreel one by one pointed towards them. It so happened after a few days, once Walid was traveling. Whilst he was traveling, he went to the tribe of Quza'a. Whilst he was there was a person who was playing, he was making an arrow, and his arrow slipped from his hand. And as his arrow slipped from his hand, it hit him. And it hit him on his main vein, which runs through the main body, right from here, his jugular, all the way down. And it clipped him there. He came home, he showed it to the doctors, and then all of a sudden just started to bleed so much, he passed away immediately, he died. Aswad ibn Abd al-Muttalib was once traveling. He took rest under a tree. Whilst he was taking a rest under the tree, all of a sudden he called out to his sons, and he says, come here, there's somebody biting at my eyes, somebody biting at my eyes. So they came. He says, what's wrong? He says, there, he's biting at my eyes. He said, we can't see anything. No, there's nothing there. And he continued screaming, continued crying until he lost his eyesight. Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth, whose head Jibreel indicated towards, he got spots and severe rash all over his face and his head. All over his face and his head. So much so that it completely took over him, and in that illness he died. The other person, Harith, which I messed up previously, Jibreel pointed towards his stomach. It so happened that he got such an illness in his stomach that he was puking out feces. And he died. And the final individual was As ibn Wa'il. As ibn Wa'il, whom Jibreel pointed towards his foot. So it so happened that he was walking and he just walked past some thorny plants which were there on the floor, and it just happened to just graze him slightly. But that slight graze was so severe pain inflicted on him that he died because of that. Inna kafaynaka al-mustahzi'in. Allah Ta'ala says, don't worry about them, we'll deal with them. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to undergo these difficult circumstances. Inshallah, next week we'll speak regarding the Muslims, other Muslims, the weak Muslims, mustada'afin, that were put to torment, the likes of Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Ali Yasir, the family of Yasir radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand. One other hikmat was that when a person strives for something, he values it. When a person strives for something, he values it. So they understood the value of this deen. We've got it on a plate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to value the true the deen in its reality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have taken a bit extra today, I know. Inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلق محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سلام على عباده الذين اصطفى المرسلين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وانزل المقدم المكرم عنده. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة القامة والصلاة النافعة صل على محمد ووضع عني رضا رزق بعد وبدا. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسوله وصلي المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت ورحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذريته وآل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم تحنن على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما تحننت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم سلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما سلمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسولك كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد صلاة تكون لك رضا وجزاء ولحق أداء وعاطي الوسيلة والفضيلة المقام محمود الذي وعدت واجزي أن ما هو أهله واجزي أفضل ما جازيت نبيا قومي ورسول أمته وصل على جميع إخوانه من النبيين والصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد اللهم صل علينا معهم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك علينا معهم صلوات الله وصلوات المؤمنين على محمد النبي الأمي. اللهم اجعل صلواتك ورحمتك وبركاتك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما جعلت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات والسلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. والسلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. والسلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات لله الطيبات والصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. والسلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات والصلوات الطيبات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أسأل الله الجنة وأعوذ بالله من النار. التحيات لله الزاكيات لله الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله خير اسماء. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات لله. اشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وان الساعه اتيه لا ريب فيها. السلام عليك ايها النبي ورحمه الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. اللهم اغفر لي واهدني. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات والملك لله. السلام عليك ايها النبي ورحمه الله وبركاته. بسم الله. التحيات لله الصلوات لله الزاكيات لله. السلام على النبي ورحمه الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. شهدت ان لا اله الا الله شهدت ان محمدا رسول الله. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات لله الصلوات الطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركة طيبات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. بسم الله والسلام على رسول الله. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك اللهم.